I typically round up my favorite beauty products in monthly beauty favorites videos, but today's focus is all about foundation. I don't know if I've ever sat down and just talked through foundation. Like my most recent favorites, I have 6 here that I want to talk about, and if you know anything about me, you know I love to try new products, so this is kind of an ever-changing favorite as I go. But I'm just going to explain. I'm not demoing or showing any tutorials on how to apply or anything like that. I'm just talking about the foundations themselves, the finish, how I like to wear it, all of that stuff. So if you're in the market for a new foundation, you may find one from this bunch today. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll put links to all the products below this video if you're curious about anything. Let's begin with the foundation I'm wearing today and what I've really enjoyed for the last month or so, maybe even more than that. It is the NARS Sheer Glow Foundation. I'm wearing shade Light 4. I also have one shade lighter than Light 4. I can't remember if it's 3 or 3.5. I've got it somewhere around here. Let me see if I can take a look. It is 3.5. So 3.5 is kind of my winter shade, and now that I'm getting a little bit of color from Self Tanner, I went ahead and bumped to a 4. What I love about the NARS Sheer Glow Foundation that I believe I tried like 7 years ago, and then this is my second go of it, is it feels so dang light and natural on the skin. It is buildable. Like you could easily apply 2 coats of this and get a medium to full coverage, or you can just do like 1 pump, 1 coat of foundation, and you'll get a really sheer, natural looking finish. It is not going to make you extra glowy. It is sheer glow foundation. It doesn't add a bunch of radiance to your skin. To me, I would describe it as a very natural finish. If you're dry, this is a great option for you, more than like a matte foundation would be. If you're really oily, you may find that you get a little bit more glow or oil shining through here, so this might not be the best match for you. However, overall, it's a really natural looking finish. So even if you have oily skin and you want a natural looking foundation, just because you have oily skin doesn't mean you need like a matte foundation to counteract that, unless you want that. You don't need it. Anyway, you could just compensate any oil showing through with a setting powder or a primer that'll help combat any oil. But I personally have dry skin, but I love the finish of this. I like to apply it with my fingers. You could certainly apply it with a brush or a beauty blender, but fingers is honestly my go-to for just speed and a natural looking finish. Before NARS Sheer Glow, I was all in on Giorgio Armani's Luminous Silk Foundation. I still love this foundation. This is going to give you a bit more coverage than NARS Sheer Glow, but still a very natural finish. Very natural, like just looks like skin. Unlike any foundation I've used before. This shade is 5.5, which is very dark. It is like my most tan shade. I range anywhere from 4 to 4.5, and then I went all the way to 5.5 because I wanted something a little darker. With this, I typically mix it with my 4.5 just to balance out the color a little bit. But the finish is natural. It's not going to add a ton of glow to your skin. It is just going to look like your skin, but better. It's actually quite amazing. Both of these are similar in that like they're medium coverage, but you have the option to flex there. You can put on less if you want a sheer finish. You can do 2 layers if you want a fuller coverage. The best way to get fuller coverage with Luminous Silk is to use a brush. If you want a more natural finish, use your fingers. If you want a fuller coverage finish, use a brush. A full coverage foundation that I love is by Hourglass. It is their Vanish Seamless Finish Liquid Foundation. This shade here is Shell. This is a beautiful foundation if you like full coverage. It looks wonderful on the skin. It applies beautifully. I've applied it with both a brush and my fingers. I prefer a brush with this just to kind of buff it into the skin. I find that sometimes long wear foundations or matte or full coverage foundations when applied with your fingers can look a little like streaky. Because it's thicker in formula typically, I like using a brush just to control the finish and make sure I'm not going like too heavy here and then too thin up here. The brush just makes sure everything is really even. But what I love about this is it lasts all day and looks absolutely beautiful. The finish is not full on matte. It is a more matte finish than the previous two foundations I talked about, but still very natural looking, and that looks like skin. You know, you're not going to get this flat porcelain doll look from this foundation, but you are going to get more like, if you have any dark spots, like I have a lot of dark spots here, so those sometimes show through on medium coverage foundations, but they do not show through on full coverage foundation. Another full coverage foundation that I like is the Urban Decay All Nighter Waterproof Longwear Liquid Foundation. I also love the concealer from this range. Same thing, All Nighter concealer, fantastic concealer, does not budge. So, as we're getting into summer here, if you're watching this right when it goes live, if you need a like humid proof, all day, I want my foundation to look exactly the same at night that it does in the morning, this is going to be your winner. The shade I have here is 3.5. It is not a porcelain doll matte finish either, but it does feel like a full coverage foundation on your skin, if that makes any sense. Those first two more medium buildable foundations, the NARS Sheer Glow and Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk, it's not going to feel as much like foundation on your skin. Your skin will feel like it'll breathe. With this, it doesn't feel too cakey or heavy to me, but it certainly feels heavier than a sheer or medium foundation, so just keep that in mind. But the finish is beautiful. I like applying this with a brush as well, and yeah, it's not going to move. It's waterproof too, so you're going to have to really work to get it off later. Perhaps my favorite glow-inducing foundation is, of course, by Becca, the queen of glowing. Becca Skin Love Weightless Blur Foundation infused with Glow Nectar Brightening Complex. I really do feel like my skin was glowy and radiant with this foundation. I know NARS Sheer Glow has the word glow in the title. You're really gonna glow with this stuff. It is, the shade I have is vanilla. I've used two shades, but I like vanilla best. It is thicker than NARS Sheer Glow. It is still, to me, a medium coverage foundation, certainly buildable if you want more coverage. You could also thin it out with a little primer or moisturizer if you want something lighter. But it applies best with fingers, so you can really spread it out. It is, like I said, a little thick when you first apply it, but man, my skin just looked glowy and radiant. I always scaled back on highlighter when I use this. I just really love it. So it is maybe a touch on the oily side, so it works great for someone with dry skin or normal skin. If you're particularly oily, you may not like this foundation, so just keep that in mind. If you're oily, but you want a lightweight medium foundation of the few I've talked about just in this little bunch, NARS Sheer Glow is probably going to be your best bet for that. But if you're dry, normal, and you want a really glowy foundation, you'll love Becca's Skin Love. The last foundation I want to mention, just for the sake of including a totally different formula, is Bare Minerals Matte Original Loose Powder Foundation. The shade I have here is Natural Ivory. They also, this is the matte version, but they just make the original, which has a teeny tiny bit of shimmer in it. Extremely subtle though, so don't let that scare you. I don't often wear loose powder foundations, but because it's spring, the temperatures are going up. Spring in North Carolina means like 85 and humid, so we're already there. A loose powder is perfect for really hot and humid days. It doesn't feel heavy on the skin. You can control how much coverage you get from it. You can just do a light wash just to even out your complexion, or you could really buff it into the skin if you want more full coverage. And this has been around forever. It is tried and true. If I had to get rid of all my liquid foundations and had my loose powder foundations in front of me, I love the Bare Minerals one. I don't love loose powders because I find them messy. However, it serves a good purpose for being a really lightweight, evening foundation for the skin that gives you the chance to control how much coverage you get from it. It lasts all day. It doesn't like turn orange and splotchy throughout the day. It really is a fantastic product. So if you're into beauty, you've likely tried this because this is just such a long time love for so many people. But I just wanted to throw it in here as I was looking at my favorite foundations. I'm like, how can I not mention this? So I don't wear it regularly because I love liquid foundation, but this is what I go to, like particularly in the summer months. So that was just a peek at some of my favorite foundations recently. This video is a long time coming. Let me know if you like this kind of focused favorites video, and if you do, maybe I'll do like favorite lipsticks or favorite blushes, favorite bronzers, that kind of thing, just to kind of talk about one type of product instead of going from most, like in most favorites videos, it's like my favorite razor blade for shaving my legs to my least favorite, and I love this shampoo and this body wash. It's kind of the whole deal in favorites videos. But if you like this more focused favorites talk, do let me know in the comments below the video. Yeah, and if you want links to any of the products that I talked about, you can find those below the video as well. Hey, did you know you could click on these boxes? Click on that one if you want to watch my last video, and then make sure you click on that one to subscribe so you'll be notified whenever I post a new video.